Today's going to feel a little bit different, maybe even a little backwards from what I normally talk about. Today, I'm questioning something kind of big. What if we've been chasing our goals so hard that we have lost sight of the actual dream, the real reason that we started in the first place? Today's episode is all about pulling back and getting honest and asking, are we so focused on the goal that we're missing the life that we're trying to build? Let's talk about it. I'm a huge advocate for breaking down your goals into chunks so that you can turn those into micro goals that will eventually lead you to the dream that you're after. This is something that's been on my mind lately. What if we're getting so caught up in chasing the goals that we forget what the dream is? We forget the entire point. For me, one of my longtime goals since I opened the shop was to buy a building. But buying the building was never the dream. The dream was having my shop closer to home so that I could be closer to my kids so that it could free up my time. The building would have been 10 minutes away from my house or 10 minutes away from the school, ideally, and allow me to work shorter days because I have less of a drive time. But the reality of this is I'm not going to be ready to buy a building anytime soon. And even if I was, there's no buildings available right now that I'm interested in. And the more I think about this, the more I realize that by the time I am ready to buy a building, they're going to be 18, they're going to be graduated, and they're probably not even going to be living with me anymore. The whole dream is fucking stupid. It makes no sense because in my mind, this whole dream was buy the building, move closer. But when I really think about it, that wasn't the dream at all. The dream was always to spend more time with my kids. So if I'm waiting until I have enough money saved and I find the perfect building in the perfect location before I spend time with my kids, I'm going to miss the entire opportunity to spend time with my kids. My time's going to be up. I have about 4 years right now before they graduate. And I'm honestly so grateful that I've come to this realization now and not 4 years from now. Now I can be really intentional about how I'm spending my time and reassess everything. Being a super goal-oriented type of person and a very results-driven kind of person, it's really easy for me to get caught up in the details and the goal, and that's just part of the equation. That was never the entire dream. And I know a lot of us get hung up on just the monetary goals. And there's always that number in mind where you think, if I could just make this much money, then I could do this, or I could have this, or I could buy this. But I think what most of us are really looking for is the freedom that comes with it. It is for me anyway. For me, it's being able to spend my time freely, being able to experience my life the way I want to and not have to make decisions based on scarcity and not making money decisions because I have to, making them because I want to. So we have the tendency to focus on this monetary goal and not this deep-seated reasons that are actually behind it. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone just wants to make money to make money. I mean, I guess there's probably some weird like Scrooge McDucks out there that are just hoarding their money just so they can count it. But I think for the majority of us, especially artists, we have a dream that is very colorful, romantic, and beautiful, and it has nothing to do with just having money in our possession. Whatever that dream is, I can bet that you start to lose sight of it if you're only focusing on these micro goals that you set to get you there. And I know that this is probably coming across as completely backwards from all of the things that I've said in the past about goal setting, but hear me out. And I know you're going to relate to this part. Once I blank, I will blank. Once I make this amount, then I'll do this. Once I achieve this thing, then I'll do this. We spend our whole lives chasing that goalpost because the goalpost keeps getting moved. We start to get close to it and then we push it away further because it starts to feel like it's not enough. And we're always adding to our plate and adding more things to qualify us to reach that goalpost. That means that we're never going to reach it. We're never going to get to the finish line. Have you ever stopped to think about the last time that you said something like this to yourself? Once I get booked out 3 months, then I'm going to slow down. Once this happens, then I can spend more time with my kids or start planning vacations or plan weekly date nights or take a break, whatever that looks like for you. I know that you're nodding your head right now in agreement. We all do this. So, what is the last promise that you made to yourself like this? And did you actually ever reach that point? Or did the goalpost get further away? And did you make some kind of excuse about why you can't stop yet and why you can't celebrate yet, and you just pushed it further away? Did you do what you said you were going to do when you got to that point? Or did you make a bigger promise to yourself after you pushed the finish line a little further? Does that sound like you? Sounds like me. I know I said once I finish this project, I'm going to take a vacation, but I'm just going to work a little bit harder and get this other project finished too, and then I'll take an even longer vacation. It's almost like we start to bargain with ourselves. We're so quick to keep piling things on our plate, and eventually we get so used to never reaching the end that we don't even think about it anymore. And this works really great if you're a runner. This is actually a strategy that I used when I was training for a run. I would find a landmark and I'd tell myself, I'm just going to run to this telephone pole and then I'll stop and walk and take a break. And then I get to the telephone pole and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the stop sign and then I'm going to stop. And then it's always choosing like the next landmark that's a little bit further out. And it works fantastic if you're training for some kind of a marathon or something like that. And you're just trying to push and challenge yourself and not give up too soon. But if you're trying to just enjoy your life and enjoy the journey, this is not the way. And I'm sure there's a small percentage of people out there that set a goal and promise themselves a reward for it and then follow through with it. But for the rest of us, what the fuck are we doing? The point was never to just try and work until we drop dead. The point is to fucking live our lives, right? I know that I didn't learn how to tattoo and have a super cool job just to piss my life away, always working towards the next impossible milestone that I'm never going to reach. So let's break this down for a minute so that we can overanalyze the fuck out of it like I like to do. But let's look at this. Like, where are we now? And where do we want to be? And what are the things that we want to be doing? Why are we not doing them? For a lot of us, I'm sure the answer is money, and I get that. But let's look at it another way. What else could we be doing before the money comes? Because there are definitely things that we could be doing right now while we're in this building and waiting phase. So another dream of mine is to live in a place where I can roller skate past the beach on my way to work every day. And I just want to start my day outside, roller skating, looking at the ocean, smelling the ocean air, feeling the sun, feeling the breeze. Like, that's my happy place. And this is my goal solely because it's something that brings me peace. And I so deeply desire a peaceful, free life, even though it's very much the opposite of how I am living right now, which I think is the entire point. But in my mind, for years and years, this would require me to move to the beach, right? Anyone would probably come to that conclusion. But the whole dream isn't just the beach, is it? The dream, like I said, is to find that peace and find that freedom and that outlet that helps to keep me grounded and feel balanced, which is mostly roller skating. And I absolutely love roller skating, and I always have, and I want to skate every day. Why am I waiting until I move to a beach to do that? Well, then the excuse becomes, I don't realistically live close enough to skate to work. So that's it then. Just give up and hope someday I eventually move to a beach and make this all happen. But for the past however many years, this is how I've been thinking of this. And this has been my train of thought up until recently. And it never occurred to me that I could find a way around this. And I could still be able to find my peace and find my outlet in this way without moving to the beach. I decided for me, that means parking at my friend's house, which is a mile away from the shop, and roller skating to work. And it's awesome until, it rains. But this, like, it's been making me so happy. I've been doing this for the past week, and I'm like, why did it take me so long to come to this conclusion? And I realize this is an oversimplified version of what I'm talking about, but I just wanted to get a very basic example of what I'm trying to explain here. I think that if you take some time to really consider this, I think you'll find that your goals have some wiggle room to them. And we need to be thinking about How can I nickel and dime this goal and get parts of what I want and be opportunistic and celebrate the little wins until I can get to the whole thing? Does the definition of success have to be all or nothing? Do we have to fulfill every last detail for it to count? Or can we start to count those little things too? Can we start to find the small areas of improvement and run with them? Maybe there's a possibility that making these small shifts in our perspective and taking these smaller steps in the right direction will ultimately land us where we want to be even faster. I can't back this up with any kind of science or data or proof, but I do know from experience that when you pay attention to the small wins and you pay attention to the little positive things in life, that you eventually start to see more and more of them, and you start to see the opportunities that were there all along. You just weren't paying attention before. I think there's lots of ways to take small steps towards our goals before we get there. And so let's say that your dream is time related. We can always find more time. If you don't know how to find more time, I suggest you look into ways of being more productive with it and how to manage your time better. I do have a few episodes on the subject if you want to go back and check them out, episode number 9 and 27. And I'll make sure we link those in the show notes. But no matter how effective you think you are with your time, there's always going to be room for improvement, I promise. We can always spend our time more intentionally. So if the dream is to spend more time with your kids, the first thing I tell you is that that's not specific enough of a goal. But what does more mean? Is 2 hours extra a day more? Is 1 hour extra considered more? What about 30 minutes? Even if you did get specific, say I want to spend 2 hours of quality time every evening with my kids, and right now you don't spend any time. Your objection is, I don't have 2 hours to spare. I don't get home till 8. They go to bed at 9. When I get home, it takes me a while to decompress, and then I have to do this and this. And by the time I'm finished, they're going to bed. And I won't be able to spend more time with them until I have a schedule that allows me to leave earlier and get home earlier. And I use this example because these are words I've said. These are exact words I've said to myself and lies that I told myself. But let's get some perspective on this. Instead of making excuses about why conditions aren't ideal and you can't do what you want until the magical moment you've been waiting for happens, what if you asked yourself what you can do in the meantime? Can you plan your day ahead and take some of those after work to-dos off of your plate and save yourself an hour at the end of the night? Can you find a way that helps you decompress and also includes them? Like maybe going for a walk together or do yoga together or lie in the grass and stare at the sky for 10 minutes together? Or can you go into work an hour earlier, which is what I did? Go into work an hour earlier so you can get home an hour earlier. And can you just suck it up and spend 30 minutes with them before bed doing something they enjoy? Isn't 30 minutes of quality time with your kids better than no minutes at all? Here's another example. The dream is to take 4 vacations a year, but you can't afford the time off yet. You can't afford the travel expenses yet. I get that. Let's dig deeper on your reason for the vacations, though. Is it because you like to travel? Or is it because you need the break? Or is it because you want to spend time with your family? Because you can have all of those things without the big, fancy, expensive trip. Last year, we were supposed to go to Outer Banks for a week. I couldn't afford the trip. I realistically could not justify it. But we didn't say, fuck it, and cancel the vacation. I mean, we did. We canceled the drive, canceled the hotel, and all of it. But we still took a vacation of sorts. I shortened it from a week to 4 days, which technically only ended up being 1 day off of work instead of 5. And we took little day trips each day, and we just stayed home. Did it look like we intended it to? No, it sure didn't. But did we still make memories and have a good time? Absolutely. We took turns choosing our adventures each day. We went to Calvert Cliffs to search for prehistoric shark teeth. Then we went to the beach and we went crabbing. And we made the best of it. And we still spent time together. And we still got to travel out of town. And that's what really actually mattered. Not that we dropped a few $1,000s on an expensive out-of-state trip. The point I'm getting at here is we don't have to wait to start feeling the results and the rewards of our achievements, and we don't have to wait until things are perfect before we get intentional about what we say we want. If you actually want the dream you say you're after, why wouldn't you take as much of it as you are able to now and find those in-between steps to start living the dream now? What are you waiting for? Don't waste your life away waiting for the magical moment for it to all perfectly line up, because it may never work out. And meanwhile, you miss those opportunities to find these little bits of happiness in your life while you're grinding away.